Hey guys, it's Annie from Anti-Fragile Physical Therapy. I wanted to take some time today to go over some ways that you can use a lacrosse ball or other mobility tools to work on your muscle tension and stuff like that at home after you've come into the clinic. Maybe you've been needled, you've done some mobilizations, or you just have kind of a nagging, achy pain that you're trying to get rid of before you come in and see us. A lot of times I'll recommend using a lacrosse ball for lots of different things. You can also use a tennis ball. Lacrosse ball is pretty simple, it's easy to use. You can get as crazy with it as you want to with the other kinds of mobility tools that they have out there, but you can keep it simple. One of the most common exercises or mobility tools that I'll show people is using this in their back. We see lots of back pain in here. It's something that I end up training a lot, back pain and hip pain together. And people get really tight muscles back in here in the QL muscle and in the paraspinal muscles. So those muscles live right in here. The QL muscle comes from the bottom of the rib cage here down into your pelvis, and it can create this really intense achiness that can typically spread all the way across. We also have the paraspinal muscles, which are these little back strap muscles that go along the spine here and sit next to the spinous process all over the vertebrae. So we can take this ball and lay down on it and put it right in here or right in here to feel some pretty good pressure here, and that helps to release that tight muscle. Any position that I'm doing here laying down, you can also do up against a wall if you feel like you don't want to or cannot lay down on the floor, or if laying on the floor provides too much pressure, if it feels like it's too intense, then you can get up and stand up against a wall. So I find this squishy space basically between my rib cage and the top of my pelvis here where it feels a little dense, there's a little bit of muscle there, but then we lay back on top of it and then you can wiggle up, down, or side to side until you find the spot. So this is where, especially up against a wall, I'll tell people they're gonna look like a bear scratching their back on a tree. But it's up to you to find the spot that feels like it's the most productive. So generally that's gonna feel like an achy sensation, maybe a little bit of a burning pain, but it should feel tolerable and it should feel like you can breathe through it and relax into it. So especially with this QL muscle, this really broad muscle in the back, I'll tell people to breathe into it deliberately with a big diaphragmatic breath. Think about inhaling, letting your ribs expand, let that muscle expand a little bit into the ball so you'll feel that pressure change. And you want to leave it in that tight spot for about 5 to 10 seconds. Once that's kind of melted away, you'll feel that sensation change. Then you can move the ball a little bit and find a new spot. When you're here in the back, you can go pretty close to the spine. You don't want to be over the bony parts, it's just not going to feel good. But you can get into the meaty part right next to the spine. And same rules, just kind of rolling until you find that spot. The other way that you can get creative with this is moving your legs around or moving your arms around. So these muscles will move and contract as you move your limbs around, which will vary the pressure and the sensation that you're feeling over that ball. So this is how you can further manipulate it as the ball is there to help kind of squash out those trigger points. You can lift up. You find the intensity that kind of matches where you're at and what you can tolerate. We don't need to spend a ton of time in each place. And overall, like in one area, probably 45 minutes max. We're not trying to go to the point where we're bruising anything. So if you feel like you're just really having trouble getting it to overall like release, you might need to get up and move, use some heat, do some other active movements to help it warm up on its own, and then come back and use the ball again. All right, so that is my favorite way to use the lacrosse ball, tennis ball, whatever kind of mobilization ball you want to use on the back to help loosen everything up there.